Hi everyone, welcome to my 2023 bullet journal setup. I'm going to just start with signing my name here at the front page, and this will be the page where I'm going to put the cover page. And this time around I'm going to use really high five stamp set from Lawn Fawn, and here they are all cut up and colored. And this is a Polaroid that I made out of these dies that I take out the middle part of, and just going to put that blue as the background. And here are the numbers 2023 for the year, and this part over here will be a pocket that I'm going to put some stuff in. So let's just see some placement for the images, and I think they're really cute. I decided this time around I'm going to use primary colors for all the balloons because it's I feel that it's really whimsical that way, and I really want it to be bright and strong color. And here I am just kind of like tracing where I want the string of the balloons to be, and I found it to be easier if I do it by pencil first before then I kind of use this Fineliner, Staedtler Fineliner to kind of then line it up and make it pop on the image. So I'm just adhering all of the balloons at the moment, so then I can later on put on the critters on, being carried away, being flown away by these balloons. I love the fox, the bear, the mouse over here that looks very happy jumping up with the balloon, and the adorable bunny as well. And I'm just extending those lines so that it looks like the creature's actually holding on to the string of the balloon. Now what I'm doing here is that I just want to give a little bit of a texture, so to say, onto the numbers. So I kind of colored in the bottom part of the numbers so that it has a different color, so it's darker than the top. And you can see the different Tombow brush markers that I used, and these are the Tombow that I use also to color in all of those balloons that the creatures are holding on to. And for these numbers, I was using Lawn Fawn die cut Henry's 1, 2, 3, and I will also write it down in the description so you can easily find it. And right now I'm going to work on this pocket. So those indented line is where I'm going to fold it and turn it into a pocket. You could actually make it bigger this time around. For some reason I only give about half a centimeters, but you could make it like a centimeter to make it even more secure when you adhered it down. And then I put these creatures here, and just to see where I'm going to place them to turn the entire thing into a pocket. And I like the way that they look right now, but I'm thinking that it might be nice to make those balloons kind of like pop up a little bit from the pocket itself. So it's not going to be like a straight line pocket, but there's a shape of the balloon that is going to be at the top of the pocket itself. So that's what I did there to kind of like line up the balloons. And of course I used the pencils first before then lining up with the Fineliner for the strings. And I'm just now adhering it down before putting on the creases as well, for each of them holding on to different balloons. And I've kind of tried to diversify a bit in terms of the colors, which color balloon that each creatures are holding on to, just to kind of like give them different options of the balloons. But I tend to give the smaller balloons to the bunny and the mouse, and the bigger balloons to the fox and to the bear, because I think they would need bigger balloons to kind of like lift them up. So here I am kind of like drawing where that line is that I'm going to use to cut. That's basically the top of the envelope, and then I go around the balloon itself so that the envelope has the shape of the balloon at the top, which I think I kind of like, rather than just having kind of like a straight top of the envelope. And here I am folding where the envelope is going to be, and then just cutting the edge a bit so that it's easier for me to fold them in this this is just kind of like making sure that the crease is really nice and crisp so that they stay really well on the page. So I adhered them a little bit lower than the bottom dots because later on I'm going to make guide spacing grid to be put into that pocket. So I kind of needed to be a bit longer than the grids that are on this page. So this one, I'm just giving them a little bit more kind of like a party feel by giving them a bit of sprinkles here and there, just with using the same Tombow brush markers. So here are the things that I'm going to put into the pockets themselves. The first one is actually a calendar. I found it to be very useful to have this pull-out calendar that I can use throughout the year. Usually what I do is that I use it when I make a new spread for a new month, so that I always have a good reference of the calendar, because I use calendars for every single one of my spread. I know for some people it's a little bit this is a little bit daunting to kind of like write these tiny numbers, but for me it's actually quite cathartic. So I like doing this. So I do this quite often in my spread. In fact, for every single weekly spread, I put a calendar on. So this is very useful for me to have to just take out from the front pocket and then use to put it next to me as I make my weekly spread. So as usual, I'm using the same color Tombow markers. I always make sure that I have limited color combos for each of my spread, just to give them a little bit more uniformity, and I do feel that they're a little bit more comprehensive that way. I don't know, like cohesive look, so to say. And of course, here are the critters, because this is my yearly theme. I really like these balloon themes because it feels a little bit of both a celebration and kind of like a lifting up feeling. And I guess that's my wish for the new year. So instead of having kind of like a word of the year, I can have the theme of the year that is about similar, but a little bit more decorative and a bit more cuter, I think. Speaking of cute, you see my teapot there, Bear Teapot. I'm happy that Bear Teapot is accompanying me right now doing my crafting. I think the Bear Teapot kind of goes also with the theme that I am using, and usually goes along with the theme of any lawn fawn stamps because they're just cute and adorable, the creatures. So one side is already ready here, and I'm using the other side. So we have the bear and the mouse on one side, and now here we have the fox and the bunny. And again, they're holding different colored balloons. And I put the bigger critter at the top and the smaller one at the bottom, and as usual, tracing that line of the string of the balloon, making sure that the balloon connects with each of the creatures, and not forgetting also later on extending the lines to the hand of the creature so they look like they're holding to the balloon. At this point, I want to give a shout out to Jashi Corinne. I get the idea of the envelope from one of her videos, so I will link it below in the description box. Last year, I made the same setup as well, and by last year, I mean 2022. So I made a calendar, and also the next thing that I'm going to make in the theme of that year, which was dandelion. So here's the theme of that last year that I actually used, which is dandelion. And this is the grids spacing guide, and I'm redoing it this year because, like I said, I like to keep that theme for every yearly item, so to say, that I make. So I'm redoing the grid spacing guide so that I can put the balloon creatures on this guide instead of just using the dandelion theme one that I had from last year. So I am doing it exactly the same. So for this grid spacing one, it's really useful that I use for kind of a ruler for any spread that I am making. My weekly spread usually, so I know the spacing that I need. If I need like an 8 spacing one, 10 spacing one, 14 spacing one, I'm using this side, and also use it for either the width and also the length of each of the page. It's just very useful rather than having to guess every single time, even though I do guessing game all the time anyway. And then I use pencil first to kind of making sure that I didn't get it wrong, but I still get them wrong. I get them wrong all the time. But by the end of the day, they still look okay, and it's kind of like a practice for me not to be a perfectionist either. So yeah, but this definitely helps a lot in terms of reducing the number of mistakes that I tend to make. But mistakes still being made anyway, and I'm kind of used to it by now. So this is pretty much the grid spacing guide quite ready in terms of the guide, the grid itself. But now the little decorations, and this time around slightly a bit different. I put this mouse being held up by 2 balloons rather just 1 balloons as usual, because he has both of his hands up there, or she does. We're not entirely sure what this mouse is, but yeah, the mouse is being flown by 2 balloons here, which is quite nice. And just a little bit of the confetti again, just to have that festive feel. Now this one, I call this a bookmark, and I also have it one from last year as well. What this actually is a little bit of a secret behind it. I unfortunately cannot show you what that secret is because it's quite private, but I do need this one for my spread also every month and every week, so I do need this. So it has both function as kind of like a cute bookmark, as well as the function of the things behind this bookmark that I use as well. So for this one, I decided to just use the bigger creatures here, which is the bear and the fox, and I think they kind of look nice together too. And I do like this style of having the lines with 2 different colors of the Tombow brush markers. So instead of just one color, I do like to kind of like mix them up a little bit and having 2 colors. Again, just a little bit confetti to kind of filling in the space over there. And last but not least, this is my color palette of the year. So I record each month what color palette that I use for that month, as well as the color palette that I use for the yearly. So here you see that I'm starting to put them on, the red, the green, the yellow and the blue, and as well as the colors that I use for the critters themselves. I keep them handy because it's easy for me to, if I forgot which brush markers that I use, I can just refer to these palette and make sure that I got the right number of the right color of brushes, and this is the number for each of these brushes. So I'll do this throughout the year, and then by the end of it, I have a complete set of my yearly as well as each of the month of the year. It also kind of helped me to see what are the different colors that I've been using throughout the year and to kind of vary them a bit as well. So here you go. Here are all the things that I'm going to put in the pockets of that front cover, next to the front cover of my journal this year. So let's put them in, I guess, to see whether they fit. And I'm quite happy that they fit in quite snugly here. That was the color palette, and here's the calendar, the grid, and the bookmark. Yep. So here's the front part of my journal. So now let's start with the next one. And this is, in a way, a monthly summary. I guess that's what I call it. So basically what this is that it's kind of like some of the highlights of each of the month. So I use bullet points for each of the months to kind of like have 3 or 4 of the highlights of that particular month. And like I said, this is also similar to what I have last year. I think I actually plan to have these yearly setup quite similar every year because I do like the continuity. I do like the consistency like that. It felt like they are part of a series, so to say. Like the journals there are some similarities to the journal. I do like that. So last year, again, I was using dandelion as a theme, and this year these balloons as a theme. And I had that little confetti next to each of the names of the month, just to give them a bit of more decorations. I do plan to have a flip through of my last year's bullet journal. So if you're interested in that, have a look out and see. I'm hoping to upload that to YouTube for the video. So so again, just lining up here the string for the balloon. So this one is pretty much straightforward, to have all 4 of the creatures flying together, so to say. So just the middle part of this spread as the decorations, and you can see a bit more closer here how the months are laid out, that I can put some bullet points there for the highlights for each of the month. So here it is done. Oh, I'm really sorry that there's a little bit of light there at the bottom part that makes the entire video slightly a bit blurry, but I hope that you can still see things well. Here I am doing my yearly log, and I am doing the style that Amanda Rachley did. I really like the style. So this is going to be turned into a Dutch door. You'll see it later, and I really like that. I find it really adorable and quite cute to have a little bit of a smaller section inside these pages, basically. So here I'm just setting it up, and I did it not on camera to cut them and to actually write down all of these little calendars, because it is a little bit tricky, and I kind of have to turn around the journal in order to cut off those Dutch doors. So they're quite ready here, ready for the decorations. And as you can see, I also leave some what do you call that, like an index, so to say, on the side of the pages there, with the same colors of the brush of the Tombow. And here I'm putting the creatures again, making sure that they are not obstructing the movement of the Dutch door. So I kind of have to fiddle a little bit of where to put them. And I do find these spread quite useful, so that there is a place for me to write down things that's going to happen in the future where I don't yet have a spread for it. I mean, to be honest, I also just sometimes put it on my phone or on a different journal or different notebook, but it's still nice to put it as part of the actual journal that I am using. So this one, here's an example from last year. So what this is that this is the theme of each of the month that I am going to use for the year. And I kind of like to have these as a record, so to say. And I do like to see them all together, because I find them to be quite cute to have them all together, 12 of the themes. And what I do is that I would put the name of the month at the top, and then next to the name of the month I would put some color palette that I use for that year. Yes, so that's pretty much ready. So let's do a flip through, just the name, and this is the cover page with the Polaroid on the right and the pocket on the left with some of the inserts, the bookmark, the grid spacing guide. This is the calendar that I'm going to use throughout the year, and last but not least, the record of the color palette that I'm going to use for the yearly and each month of the year. I found this very functional for me to have it set up this way. So yeah, just something that works for me. And the next page is the monthly summary, where I'm going to write down all the bullet points from each of the month. My future log, which I think is quite cute with the Dutch door. And then this part is the monthly theme that I'm going to record here. So that's it. Thank you so much for staying with me throughout this entire journey of setting up my 2023 bullet journal. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you found some ideas, and I would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to the channel. I hope to see you next time around, and until then, have a wonderful, wonderful day and the end of the year. Bye!